Hey everybody, welcome back to Travel Trailer Nation. I'm having a beer today because it's going to be a trip down memory lane for you and me. Cheers. I thought what I would talk about today is a brief history of every travel trailer we owned and what I thought the pros and cons were, and might give you a little background or insight into maybe purchasing your trailer. Not sure, but let's give it a whirl. Back in '88, this whole journey started after a horribly cold camping trip in the upper UP in June. And it got so bad that the second night we were tent camping, they were talking about a freeze warning, and I was done with it. I said, pack it up. We're going to go to a hotel. And we did. And we finished out our trip in the upper UP. We were at Mackinac Island. We were planning on spending all of that time camping, which would have been great because we'd been tent camping for years that way. But that really ruined it. And on the way home, Tammy had suggested we look into a used travel trailer because she had always camped that way with her folks. So I was game for it. We ended up finding a 1971 Jayco Jaywren. And I believe that may have been the first year they made their little travel trailer. It was a 16-footer. So if I started with the cons, I would probably say it was 16 feet. But I'll tell you what, they packed a lot in there for a 16-foot travel trailer. You had the table in the front, which collapsed down to a bed. You had a couch in the very back of the trailer that folded out into a bed. And then up above that was an actual bunk that you could bring down from the ceiling. It was strapped up. And so you had plenty of sleeping area there. Unfortunately, there was no sitting area. All that you really had was the table to sit at when you were inside, or you could go sit on the couch and back. But I mean, really nice trailer, well constructed. And keep in mind, when we got it, it was already 17 years old. So we had to do some work to it, including tires and bearings and redoing the upholstery and blinds. But what a wonderful trailer. And I really do wish I still had that trailer, because there's something about the old style trailers with the wood paneling. I don't know. I just have a thing for that. And I love that trailer, but it became apparent pretty quick that we were going to have a bathroom, because nobody likes to get up at 2 in the morning and get a flashlight and take the kids to the bathroom. So, and by no one, I mean, I don't like to do that. I wouldn't expect Tammy to get up and trudge through the campground. But in any event, we settled on a 1990 Sprint, not a Sprinter, a 1990 Sprint. And I've looked online. I've never been able to find that label tied to Mallard back in 1990. I don't know why. But anyway, this was a really nice trailer. Had bunks for the kids that were great. It had a nice bedroom for us. Still was just the table you could sit at, but that was fine. Nice bathroom. Never had a lick of trouble with that trailer. Had a awning. It had no awning, but we ended up putting one on before a fateful trip to Kentucky. It also had no air conditioning. So those were the two drawbacks really that I saw back then, were one, no awning, because we would really like to have that, and then the air conditioning. But if you live in Wisconsin, you can get by without air conditioning fairly easily. But we took that trailer to Florida a couple times, and then on our Kentucky trip, which may be the subject of another video, we ended up being totaled out in our Dodge Ram conversion van and the trailer when a woman decided to come down the wrong side of the interstate at about 1 in the afternoon. Needless to say, that's an interesting story, and it would probably be maybe a 20-minute video. I'm not sure. I tell that story in our book, I Go Where I'm Towed, because it's complicated. But anyway, so that kind of changed the direction we were going. Obviously, we ended up having to pack up all of our stuff into a rental van. It was a Ford Aerostar. We came back, and when we were going through Indiana, we found another dealership, and then we saw the Prowler and the Fleetwood Prowler, and it was almost identical to what we had just lost in the accident with the Sprint, except it had the awning and it had the air conditioner. So everything inside was identical. And then the outside, we had the air and the awning. And we had that trailer and did tons and tons of camping in that trailer, and went to Yellowstone in it. It was just it was a great trailer. And again, not a single issue with that trailer, not even out of the gate, nothing. That trailer, when we got around to 1999, we knew I was going to have to relocate, and because I was going to go on the road 4 years on a Y2K project. So at that point, knowing I would only be home on weekends and sometimes not even on weekends, we made a decision to sell that trailer. So we became trailerless people for the first time since 1988. But it didn't last long. So once I came off the road, we went out and we bought a 2001 Trail Cruiser made by R-Vision. And that was, again, a really nice trailer. It had this was the first time we ever had a slide out, and it was a crank out slide out from inside. You lifted up the fabric on the couch and you inserted a T-handle and turned it out. And it was probably maybe a 18-inch slide. That trailer was really good, very light. Trailer could actually be towed with our Jeep Cherokee. And that trailer we had until 2006. I will say that the worst thing about that trailer was that, one, I don't think they had perfected their gel coat on the outside. It got very chalky. Second of all, inside, the door, the main entrance door, went right into the kitchen. So what we found is over time it was getting very difficult to maneuver between people who wanted to come in the trailer if you were working in the kitchen. And also their pantry was bizarre. And by bizarre, I mean it was a cabinet off to the side of the sink, but it was so deep, you'd almost have to have a kid crawl in there to get stuff out if you pushed it all the way back. So not an efficient use of space, but a very well-made travel trailer, very light, easy to maneuver, just a really good trailer. So, as I mentioned, we had that until 2007 when we traded in on our Coachman, and I loved the Coachman. Tammy loved the Coachman. We saw it. It was just like, wow, this is a great trailer. And at this point, we were traveling with dogs, and we were actually before this. Once we got into the Prowler, we actually had our first white shepherd, and that was Shayna, and she started traveling with us. So we got very used to traveling with dogs. And so now when we got into the Coachman, we actually had 3 dogs. So Coachman provided a lot of room for dogs. I mean, the kitchen was huge. There was a couch in there. It was a little weird because it didn't have an armrest on one side, which was kind of strange, but it had a nice bathroom. And this was now just more of a couple's trailer. Obviously, the kids weren't going with us, but if they wanted to, we certainly could have collapsed the table down for sleeping. It was a really nice trailer, really nice. I missed that trailer too, but mainly because of the kitchen, because there was so much counter. It was basically a U-shaped kitchen, and it was just, that was the high point. And the cabinetry was outstanding. It was all wood, and it was just outstanding. From there, the downside was that the way the wheels were spaced on that trailer made it extremely difficult to get in and out of gas stations. And keep in mind, now I'm towing with a 1500 Ram gasser, so I'm not going through diesel lanes, which would have been incredibly easy with that trailer. But every gas station that we stopped at gave me a kind of a sick feeling, and we would always have Tammy look out the window as we'd come up the off-ramp to see if the station we were thinking we could use would actually be a viable alternative, because there's nothing worse than having to get into a stall only to back out, in a crowded gas station. So that trailer was with us until 2014, 2015. And in 2015, it was probably late 14, though it was a 15 model year. We made a big mistake and got a 24-foot Jayco. Now, I will say this about the Jayco, well-made trailer, great roof, but now we're in the era where the quality is not great, and there was a lot of things that needed to be fixed on it. But the main problem we had is that when Tammy and I looked at that trailer, neither one of us really said anything other than we both knew we wanted to get out of the long trailer so we could maneuver at pumps. When we got in there, the floor plan was more like 3 boxes. The bathroom was a box, the living room was a box, and the bedroom was a box. And it seemed so incredibly small that way when we got in. And I was thinking in my head, I don't know that I should really say anything, because I think this is just, it's just the way it is, because it's so closed off that it doesn't feel like there's any room in here. Well, little did I know, but Tammy was having the same thought at the same time. And the girls, meaning my dogs at the time, and now we're down to 2, they had room in there, but it wasn't a lot of room. And I think we realized probably after the first year that this had been a bit, and then we shared the story with each other that we were thinking the exact same thing, and then felt like fools. And then we realized we had to step up again. We had to get something bigger and get out of that mess. So we stepped up to a larger Jayco, and God, what a wonderful trailer that was. But again, with a laundry list of issues right out of the gate that we had to take care of. And the downside on that trailer was that if you wanted to watch the TV, and it had a swivel TV, so there was a wall that had a TV in it that was if you went in the bedroom, it looked like a mirror on that side, but you could swivel it around at night so you could watch TV in there, which was nice. I like that. It had a lot of room in it. It was the bathroom was like residential. It was wonderful. But if you sat on the couch to watch TV, you had to do this to watch. And I'll tell you what, we travel a lot. And when you're on the road in excess of a month and you're doing that, it kind of gets to you. And but the one thing so that was the downside. What I absolutely loved about that trailer was the outside kitchen. And when we bought it, I didn't even want it. I was like, oh my God, I don't need that. Why would I use that? Man, I fell in love with it. And so it was kind of heartbreaking when we decided to move on from that trailer. And the only reason we really did was I tried to talk Tammy into doing some theater seating, but what that did was that then took away the option for having anyone else in the trailer, like our grandson. So we went to an RV show. We saw the 2017 2950 RL Imagine, and that just kind of blew us away. I hadn't seen a trailer that nice before that at all at any of the RV shows we'd gone to. And they changed the floor plan a few years later and changed it to a 2970 where there's no entrance into the bedroom from the bathroom. We have an entrance that goes from the bathroom to Tammy's side of the bed, or I can go down the hallway and go to my side of the bed. Very convenient. Again, and if you watched my Trilogy of Terror series, the 3-part series on the roof, you'll understand not only how I feel about the RV industry's quality going down since 2008, but also I think just about the RV industry in general and the quality of trailers being made today. We've fortunately worked on almost everything ourselves. But as I mentioned in that video, roof's not something I'm going to do. Okay, so we've had that now for 7 years. And I have to say, I've invested about $4,000 into extras on that, from tinted windows to the suspension to you name it. And that would be stuff I could not recoup if I were to walk away from it. So we're kind of stuck in that mode with that trailer because I don't really want to start over. But who knows, you never know. If I could talk her into another travel trailer that was made out of Asdal, and I don't know, maybe it would fly. But like I said, the only downside so far to this trailer is that there's no outside kitchen. That's the only thing that I don't like about it, and I've made up for that by running my own LP line back to the rear bumper. And I have a hookup there, a dual hookup, so I can have my grill and my griddle, and I bought an RV refrigerator and put it up front in the storage. So I'm almost whole, you might say, from where I was on the Jayco. As far as the roof goes, it was redone down here at United RV. They did a beautiful job on it, but I will say this, nobody, in my estimation, can hold a candle to the type of roof that Jayco puts on their trailers, or at least did. I'm sure they're still doing it. When you walk on that roof, it is like a residential roof, and I miss that. And that's not to say that the RVs that are being produced aren't meeting a standard. It's just that Jayco's standard is a lot higher. So, as with any trailer, you know, you kind of got to look at the pros and the cons, and you have to look at what does it have that I really need. And we talk a lot about that in a guide to purchasing a travel trailer, but it's all the little stuff that will come back and bite you if you're not ready for it. And that's why you really should have a checklist. Like, what am I looking for in a kitchen? Am I looking for a, you know, am I looking for a trash cabinet? Am I looking for a pantry, a large pantry? How do I want my refrigerator? Am I looking for a, you know, a dual LP electric refrigerator? Do I want a 12 volt? I know they're trying to get away from that, and I haven't heard good things. So there's a lot of stuff you need to consider in that, and also talk to your partner if you're buying one together, and find out what they're thinking, because we would have bypassed the 24-foot Jayco had we been talking more about what we thought about it inside. Regardless of its size, the girls still loved traveling in the travel trailer, and we've been blessed by having dogs that love to be a part of the camping experience. And Eva, I always say Eva's a little better behaved on the road than she is at home. She's a ball of energy for sure. So anyway, I don't know if that helps you kind of think through your purchases or not. It's kind of fun sometimes to look back. We've had a ton of fun with the kids from, you know, 88 to 99, when we were all basically camping a lot together. And of course, as the kids grew up, they were not that much interested in staying with old mom and dad anymore. So I'm always hoping that they might get into their own travel trailers at some point. But at this point, it doesn't look like anyone's heading in that direction. But they always visit us when we're up there. So anyway, until next time, happy camping.